Welcome to Brush Lettering Lowercase Alphabet Part 2, the final part of my 3-part video series showing you how to draw beautiful brush letters using Sakura of America's KOI Coloring Brush pens. This is Erica Pinto from EP Lettering. The letters I'll be going through in this video are grouped according to their main basic stroke. If you're not familiar with the basic strokes, make sure you go back and watch the first video in this series, Brush Lettering Basic Strokes. The traceable alphabet and blank guidelines that I'll be using in this video can both be downloaded from sakuraofamerica.com. So let's start with our ascending stem loop letters. So just as I did in the last video, I'm going to start by breaking down each letter into its basic strokes. So for the letter B, we start with our entrance stroke, followed by an ascending stem loop, and then a variation on a reverse oval. It starts at the baseline the same way you would an overturn, and then transitions into a reverse oval. Finally, we have our exit stroke. So here are all of those put together. The letter D begins with an entrance stroke, followed by an oval, and then an ascending stem loop, which doesn't end at the baseline, but rather transitions right into an exit stroke. So make sure you move slowly through these strokes. With the ascending stem loop, as you move down toward the baseline, gradually lessen the pressure on the pen, and then round out the curve slowly and move right into a thin exit stroke. For the letter F, we start with our entrance stroke, and then the ascending stem loop begins between the baseline and the waistline, so it's a little bit of a variation. And we bring the stroke all the way down below the baseline, and ending with our little loop, and then an exit stroke. For the letter H, we begin with an entrance stroke, followed by an ascending stem loop, and finally a compound curve. The letter K starts with an entrance stroke, followed by an ascending stem loop. The arm of the K begins at the baseline with a thin upstroke, and then I apply pressure as I move through the loop. For the leg of the K, I apply a bit of pressure as I move the pen down and transition right into a thin exit stroke. The letter L begins with an entrance stroke, followed by an ascending stem loop that moves right into a thin exit stroke. Now we'll try the descending stem loop letters. First up is the letter G. So we start with our entrance stroke, followed by an oval, and then a descending stem loop. So applying full pressure at the top as you move down, reducing the pressure as you move through the loop, and pulling that tail out right into an exit stroke. For the letter J, we start with an entrance stroke, followed by our descending stem loop, the same way we did it for the letter G. So it moves right into the exit stroke, and then the dot. The letter P begins with an entrance stroke, followed by a descending stem loop, and then a reverse oval, and finally our exit stroke. The letter Q begins with an entrance stroke, followed by a regular oval, and then the descending stem loop is actually drawn in reverse. So rather than having it loop on the left, we have it loop on the right. Finally, we have the exit stroke. The letter Y begins with an entrance stroke that transitions directly into a compound curve, followed by a descending stem loop. And just as I did with the letters G and J, I extend the tail out into an exit stroke. The letter Z or Z, depending on how you pronounce it, begins with an entrance stroke that transitions to an overturn. This is followed by a variation in the descending stem loop. Beginning at the baseline, draw a thin curved upstroke, followed by a thick downstroke that goes all the way down to the descender line, and then complete the loop the same way you would for the letter Y. Now let's move on to the full pressure stroke. There's only one letter in this group, the letter T. Beginning at the baseline, draw your entrance stroke, then draw a full pressure stroke starting at the ascender line, and reduce the pressure on the pen as you approach the curve at the baseline, and then move right into your exit stroke. And don't forget your crossbar, which is just a thin curved line. There are two remaining letters which I consider to be exceptions. The first is the letter R, which begins with a slightly taller entrance stroke, followed by a second stroke which I've broken up into two parts but that I usually draw in one motion. It starts above the baseline as a full pressure stroke, then reduced pressure as I move diagonally, and then full pressure again as I move into what looks like an underturn. I've broken it up into 3 separate strokes in the worksheet, but here you can see how I combine the last 2 strokes into one smooth shape. Finally, the letter S begins with an entrance stroke. The next stroke begins with full pressure, just as I did for the letter R, then light pressure as you curve diagonally to the right, and then a full pressure downstroke as you round that bottom curve, and reduced pressure again as you move back up toward the entrance stroke. Add an exit stroke, and you're finished. This is a tricky letter to draw, so don't worry if it feels awkward or looks a little strange at first. It definitely takes a little bit of practice. This completes my brush lettering video series. I hope you found these videos helpful. Brush lettering is a beautiful and relaxing art form, but it definitely takes some time to perfect. Don't worry if your lines and letters look a little shaky at the start, because this is completely natural. Use the worksheets to practice, move slowly through each step, and over time you'll notice that the lines will become smoother and the basic shapes will start to come more naturally to you. Thanks so much for watching. For more brush lettering photos and videos, visit my website or Instagram account.